Now one would say slavery is banned. I said, yes, it's banned, but slavery was there, and slavery is not something that Muslims should be ashamed of, because people think that, oh, Islam promotes slavery. There is only one means of having slavery, and that is through capturing of prisoners of war. If I go to Burma, where they're very poor, or Somalia, and someone comes to me and says, do you want to buy my son or my daughter? He is 7 years of age, 9 years of age. I'll sell him for $150, and he can become your slave. That's cheap. I'll buy him. Take two. Said, oh, you get one free. So is this halal? Definitely not. This is a free man, a free child. I cannot buy him. The only means of slavery in Islam is through prisoners of wars, non-Muslims, disbelievers. So if someone attacks my country...
It's just non-Muslims, guys. It's just non-Muslims. I mean, why are you making such a big deal of this? We just enslaved non-Muslims through war.
And by the way, it's false. He's saying the only way you get slaves is as prisoners of war. Muhammad got most of his slaves from the slave market. That's where Muhammad got most of his slaves, from the slave market. He just went and bought them.
Yeah, he kind of makes it. He goes into how you cannot buy a free person and turn them into a slave. And so that would be correct, but that's also a very strange thing to point out. Who thinks of that anyway? But you can buy a slave. You can buy a person who is already a slave and make them your slave. That is completely possible.
You can buy, sell, and trade.
Yeah, Muhammad himself bought and sold slaves and told others to sell slaves and to gift slaves. So that is all part of Islam. This is normal.
I, with the army, defend my country, and we get prisoners of wars. What do we do with them? Send them to Guantanamo. No, we enslave them. Oh, this is against human rights. Well, them attacking us is human rights? Is okay, Annie? No, this is human rights. How? He is a slave. He's like an animal being sold and bought and not having rights. Yes, but this is for his sake. Come on. When a surgeon goes to your son and cuts open his stomach to remove a tumor, is this for his sake or not? Definitely. He's bleeding, he's in pain. Yes, but this is for his sake. Likewise, this disbeliever who was an enemy.
What a stupid analogy. This is one of those moments where you think, why would you make such a dumb analogy?
Come on, AP. People need tumors removed, so don't complain when I enslave you.
What an idiotic analogy. This is one of those things. This is one of those moments where you don't even know how to answer because it's just so absurd.
Enemy of Islam. I can execute him and get it over with. But what I'm giving him is an honest and decent life. I feed him from what I eat. I clothe him from what I wear, as the Prophet ordered, alayhi salam. Not only that, the Prophet, alayhi salam, in the Quran and in the Sunnah, whatever you do, expiation, free a slave. So if I have intercourse with my wife during the month of Ramadan while fasting, this is a sin. It invalidates my fasting. What to do? Free a slave. If I'm driving and I kill someone by mistake, free a slave. If I tell my wife that I don't want you and I am not even going to touch you, you are exactly like my mother, then I feel remorse and sad, and I would like to continue living with her, free a slave. If I say, Wallahi...
So,
that's in the Quran. That's in the Quran.
Yeah. He's basically saying that freeing a slave is something that you can do to make up for something terrible, something bad that you did. This is not exactly a great point. Look, you can also give money in charity to make up for your sins. Does that mean you should not own money? You shouldn't own property? No, that's not it. That means that it is valuable. It is your property, but you should give it up and give it in charity so that you can make up for your sins. Likewise, you are also not discouraged from owning slaves. No, slaves are your property, your valuable property. And in return for certain sins, you can free a slave to make up for your sins because you're sacrificing your valued property. This is not an advocacy of, liberation and freedom and all that. It just means, hey, make a sacrifice from your property, this little animal slave that you own.
Yeah, and it was kind of like he was saying, hey, it's good to have slaves, so because they come in handy. If you do something bad, then you've got some credit. Some credit on hand to fix that. So I mean, think about it. You want a good 100 slaves if you mess up regularly. You're going to want to keep 100 slaves on there. Oh, I did that. I said, may my wife be like my mother. I got to fix that because now I want to go to my wife, but it's like my mother now. Again, that's in the Quran, Surah 33, verses 4-5. If they wanted to say, "Hey, stay away from me," there's may you be like my mother, or may you be like my mother's back, meaning I'm not gonna approach you for sex. And
so if you have a lot of slaves, that is like having a high credit limit, which you can always use in case you need something, or you need to, you're in a bad situation, you messed up, you sinned, so you can use some of that credit, which is a slave, and just give that away,
and the really good side is, if it's a female slave, you get to rape her until you need to use cash in that credit.
Oh yeah. You can plow, and then you can free them. And if you did something bad, so it makes sense, right?
Expiation, free a slave, and it goes on. Everything in Islam, free a slave, free a slave, free a slave.
You're in trouble if you don't have a bunch of slaves, man.
Islam promotes freedom for slavery, but by living in our houses and looking at how we treat them and looking at how we worship Allah Azza wa Jal, this would make them accept Islam voluntary, because there is no compulsion in religion.
Alhamdulillah.
Especially when you're raping them.
Of course.
And that is why the Prophet ﷺ said in the authentic hadith, I am astonished, I am amazed of people being dragged to paradise in chains. Who would be dragged in paradise in chains? Everybody goes to paradise willingly. The Prophet is giving us a metaphor. Because these prisoners of war, they were enslaved, so they were in chains. And these chains made them accept Islam and hence enter paradise as if they were dragged into it. So this is not our...
That kid is sitting there hearing this. Wow, it's such a great deal. If I have all these slaves, and if I get in trouble, I can free one, and it's good. It's good for them too, because you make them slaves, you make them your slaves, and you enslave all these Jews and Christians and atheists. You enslave them all, and then it's actually good because they have a better chance of going to paradise if you enslave them, because they'll want to convert to Islam, so that they'll have a better chance of you freeing them. So you're actually doing them a favor by enslaving the entire world.
Wow, that's amazing. I didn't know this. When I'm a big man like Daddy, I want to have a lot of slaves.
Was that Ali Dawah?
No.
Is that a young Ali Dawah there?
Could be. Maybe this is where Ali Dawah started going wrong. I don't know.
Topic, but you have to clarify things, because when people talk to you about Islam and you don't know the beauty of the religion, you will feel inferior. You will feel weak. So
and seriously, what an idiotic point. I mean, it is amazing that slaves see the beauty of Islam, which is why after enslaving them, they convert to Islam. Dude, slaves are told that if they convert to Islam, that is their way to freedom. You enslave your opponents, and they come as your slaves. When they convert to Islam, they are treated better and potentially freed. What will a slave do under your power? Will probably convert, or could possibly convert, is much more likely to convert than a free person. How is that great? How does that say anything good about your religion? About your stupid, idiotic religion, which is a cancer.
So I'm sorry, yes, Islam promotes slavery. No, it's not like this. And always turn the tables on their heads. Not physically, but so that they'll say, oh, a terrorist, he's putting the tables on their head now, we have wounds, we're dying. Always turn the tables on them by asking them to look into their own books, their own religions, and they'll find slavery being bought, sold, not through jihad, through any means. As long as you can capture someone and sell it, then this is permissible. In Islam, alhamdulillah, it is the greatest religion. And if you study it, you know why.
This guy here is a popular Muslim scholar and apologist, and is clearly saying these things. We are not making them up.
And clearly saying it on YouTube.
Stay away from Islam.